There is a truth that separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who remain stuck in the ordinary. It is not luck, nor is it privilege. It is the training of the mind. Every invention, every discovery, every fortune, every dream realized began first as an idea, shaped and nurtured by the mind that held it. If you can train your mind, you can train your destiny. The mind has often been compared to a field, a piece of land that holds within it the limitless potential of what can be produced. This is not simply a poetic metaphor. It is a truth that governs the outcome of every life. A field, by its nature, will return in abundance whatever you choose to plant. If you place in it seeds of wheat, you will not harvest thorns. If you scatter corn, you will not receive weeds. Yet the field does not decide. It waits patiently, ready to give back to you exactly what you have sown. The mind works in precisely the same way. It does not discriminate between constructive thoughts and destructive ones, between noble desires and idle fears. It simply takes what you plant and multiplies it, returning it to you in the circumstances of your life. This truth explains why two people born into the same world, facing similar conditions, may end up in vastly different places. One plants seeds of courage, vision, and determination, and his life blossoms into a garden of opportunity and growth. Another, perhaps unknowingly, plants seeds of doubt, fear, and worry, and he finds himself surrounded by the weeds of frustration and failure. The difference is not chance. The difference lies in the seeds. Each day, without realizing it, you are planting in the soil of your mind. Every thought, every word you repeat to yourself, every image you hold in your imagination, these are seeds. The person who constantly tells himself that he cannot succeed, that the world is against him, that his dreams are too big or too late, is quietly planting weeds. Over time, those weeds take root and choke out the possibility of better harvests. The one who disciplines his mind, who carefully selects thoughts of strength, optimism, and possibility, is planting seeds that will, in their season, produce a harvest of achievement. This is why guarding your thoughts is not a trivial matter. The land does not care what you plant, it will always return abundance. And so it is with your mind. It cannot help but return to you, multiplied, the very things you sow into it. The law is as impartial as gravity. If you feed your mind a steady diet of negative images, gossip, complaints, and fears, it will shape your life into a reflection of those very things. If you feed it with ideas of purpose, success, and service, it will just as surely shape your reality in that direction. Many people go through life not realizing they are farmers of their own destiny. They allow anything and everything to be dropped into the soil of their mind. They listen to discouragement, watch endless distractions, repeat negative stories about themselves, and then wonder why their lives bear fruit they do not want. But the trained mind knows better. The trained mind understands that nothing grows by accident. The crop is always consistent with the seed. To truly achieve what you desire, you must accept this responsibility. You are the one who decides what to plant. And once that decision is made, you must tend to your mental garden with care. Pull out the weeds of doubt the moment they appear. Water the seeds of faith and persistence with daily attention. Expose your mind to the sunshine of new knowledge, positive examples, and encouraging voices. Over time, the harvest becomes inevitable. Think about this. Every success you admire in the world, every achievement that inspires you began as a seed planted in someone's mind. The inventor who changed the world with his creation first planted an idea. The leader who shaped nations first sowed thoughts of vision and courage. The writer, the artist, the builder, the entrepreneur, all began with a simple act of planting. And because they cared for the soil of their mind, because they chose their seeds with intention, they reaped abundantly. You hold the same power. Your mind is the field and your thoughts are the seeds. Train yourself to plant with purpose, for the harvest is certain. Whether you choose weeds or wheat, thorns or fruit, the soil will give it back to you in overflowing measure. Choose carefully, for your future depends on it. There is a reason so many people go through life with frustration, disappointment, and confusion. They never truly decide what it is they want. They may talk about wanting to be successful, but when asked what success means to them, they have no clear answer. They may say they want happiness, wealth, freedom, or fulfillment, but without clarity, these remain vague wishes. A mind without a defined target becomes like a ship adrift at sea, subject to the winds of circumstance and the currents of chance. Clarity of desire is the compass that sets direction, the rudder that guides the vessel, and the light that shines on the path ahead. Without it, no amount of effort can produce lasting results. because effort without direction leads only to scattered outcomes. When you decide on a clear desire, you give your mind something to work toward. The human mind is remarkable in its ability to solve problems, to notice opportunities, and to connect seemingly unrelated ideas. But it can only do so when it knows what it is working for. Just as an archer cannot hit a target he cannot see, a person cannot achieve a goal that has not been defined. Too many people live reacting to life rather than directing it. They let circumstances dictate their days, their moods, and their futures. Yet history has proven time and again that those who knew what they wanted and pursued it with unwavering clarity shaped the world around them. Think for a moment about the people who have accomplished great things. The inventor who saw a machine before it existed, the artist who envisioned a masterpiece before touching a canvas, the leader who dreamed of a future before anyone else could see it. All began with a clear desire. It wasn't a passing thought or a half-formed wish. It was a definite aim that commanded their attention and directed their energy. When the mind has such clarity, it begins to operate on a different level. It becomes alert to possibilities, sensitive to opportunities, and resilient in the face of obstacles. Clarity sharpens focus, and focus multiplies effort. Clarity of desire does not mean the absence of difficulty. Challenges will come, distractions will test resolve, and doubts may creep in. But when your mind knows precisely where it is going, it treats obstacles as detours rather than dead ends. Every difficulty becomes something to be solved rather than a reason to quit. This is why vague wishes seldom materialize into achievements, while clear desires often do. The mind resists confusion but thrives on certainty. A person who knows what he wants will walk straighter, act quicker, and persist longer than someone who is unsure. There is also a great power in writing down what you want. When you put your desire into words, you give form to the invisible. You transform a thought into a statement, and in doing so you begin to make it real. The mind then begins working day and night, both consciously and unconsciously, to bring that statement into existence. You will notice patterns, connections, and possibilities that were invisible before. What once seemed random now appears aligned with your goal. It almost feels as though the world bends in your favor, but in truth, it is your clarified mind that bends your perception, allowing you to see what was always there. So few people take the time to sit quietly and ask themselves, what do I truly want? What is the picture of the life I desire? What am I willing to devote my time and energy to? The answers to these questions may not come instantly, but in seeking them, you train your mind to look inward instead of outward. And once that picture is drawn with clarity, it becomes the guiding star of your life. Every decision becomes simpler, every step more deliberate, because you are no longer wandering, you are walking a chosen path. Clarity of desire is the starting point of all great achievements. Without it, energy is wasted, time is lost, and life becomes a series of accidents. With it, however, even ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things. For the mind, once given a clear direction, becomes unstoppable. And when your desire is definite, your actions will naturally align with it until what was once only a thought becomes the reality you live in. Belief is the foundation of all achievement, and without it, nothing meaningful can ever be accomplished. Everything you see around you that represents progress, success, or greatness began in the invisible world of belief. Before the first stone of a cathedral was laid, before the first wheel was carved, before the first rocket left the earth, someone believed it could be done. That simple, invisible force was strong enough to move men and women into action, to endure failure, to rise again, and to persist until the vision became reality. The reason belief is so powerful is because the mind operates on conviction. When you are convinced something is possible, your actions begin to align with that conviction. You think differently, speak differently, and act differently. Doubt, on the other hand, weakens every effort before it even begins. A doubtful mind sends out signals of hesitation, and life has a way of reflecting hesitation right back to us. People sense it, opportunities sense it, and eventually even we begin to convince ourselves that we were right to doubt in the first place. Belief, then, is not simply a comfort. It is the fuel that ignites the engine of achievement. Consider the person who sets out to achieve a great dream but lacks belief in themselves. They may have talent, education, and even resources, but without belief, each challenge seems insurmountable. Every setback is proof of their suspicion that they cannot succeed. Contrast this with the individual of firm belief. He or she may lack resources at first, may even stumble repeatedly, but because they carry certainty in their vision, they press forward. The world responds to such a person. Doors open, allies appear, and what once seemed impossible gradually becomes inevitable. Belief is contagious. When you truly believe in what you are doing, others begin to feel it as well. Confidence radiates, and it inspires trust. Entire movements, businesses, inventions, and revolutions have been built upon the belief of a single person who dared to see beyond what others thought possible. The Wright brothers believed human flight was achievable when almost everyone dismissed the idea as absurd. Thomas Edison believed in the incandescent bulb after failing thousands of times. These were not men of superhuman ability. They were men of unshakable belief. It is important to understand that belief is not blind hope. It is not wishful thinking. It is a deep conviction that you can learn, adapt, and grow until the desired outcome is reached. It is belief in your capacity, in your resilience, in your ability to figure things out when the path is unclear. This kind of belief must be built, and it is built through repetition, through small victories that strengthen your confidence, and through consistent alignment of your thoughts with your goals. To achieve anything you desire, you must first see yourself as capable of achieving it. If you cannot hold that image in your mind with clarity and faith, no amount of effort will be enough to sustain you. On the other hand, once belief takes root, effort becomes natural. You are no longer pushing yourself forward, you are being pulled by the certainty of your vision. You begin to expect success, and expectations have a strange way of shaping outcomes. Belief transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It does not eliminate difficulty, but it makes difficulty worthwhile. It does not erase obstacles, but it gives you the strength to move through them. And once you understand this, you will recognize that the first and greatest battle is not with the world outside, but with the doubt within. If you can win that battle, if you can believe in yourself, in your goal, and in the possibility of success, then the rest of the journey becomes not a matter of if, but a matter of when. Discipline is the hidden engine behind every great achievement in human history. It is the quality that transforms vague dreams into concrete realities, the bridge that carries an idea from the imagination into the world of results. Without discipline, even the brightest of minds, even the grandest of desires, remain as unfulfilled potential. Discipline is the practice of doing what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. It is the daily choice to give direction to your energy, to master yourself rather than be mastered by your moods, distractions, or excuses. When we look at those who accomplish extraordinary things, we often assume they are gifted with talents we do not possess, or that they are blessed with opportunities unavailable to us. But if you study their lives closely, you find a consistent pattern. They have trained themselves to act with discipline. They rise earlier, they repeat their craft with precision, they commit to a routine, and they stick to it long enough to see results where others gave up. Discipline is rarely glamorous. It does not announce itself with applause or rewards in the beginning. It is often quiet, repetitive, and unrecognized. But with time, it compounds, and the person who has built discipline eventually enjoys a harvest that others mistake for luck or natural talent. The truth is, discipline is a form of self-respect. To live without it is to drift, pulled in every direction by the winds of impulse. To live with it is to say to yourself, I value my future enough to act in alignment with it today. Think about this carefully. Every choice you make trains your mind in one of two directions, towards weakness or towards strength. When you allow yourself to be careless with time, careless with thought, careless with effort, you are programming your mind to expect little of itself. But when you demand more from yourself, when you hold yourself accountable to daily action, your mind begins to align with achievement. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom, for it gives you mastery over your destiny. We live in a world that often seeks shortcuts. Many want the rewards without the work, the applause without the practice, the prize without the patience. But life does not yield its treasures that way. The laws of growth are universal. You reap what you sow, and you cannot harvest in the same season that you plant. Discipline is the force that keeps you tending to the soil long before the fruits appear. It keeps you writing when no one reads, studying when no one praises, practicing when no one watches. It is the unseen labor that builds the visible success. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it multiplies. The more you practice it in one area of life, the more it spills over into others. A person who disciplines their mind to read daily, to guard their thoughts, to pursue a single goal with consistency, will soon find that the same discipline helps them manage their health, their relationships, their finances, their character. Discipline is contagious. It strengthens the will like a muscle, and the more it is used, the stronger it becomes. If you desire to achieve anything meaningful, do not wait for the perfect moment or the perfect mood. Begin where you are, with what you have, and do what must be done. Each disciplined action is a vote for the person you wish to become. Each day that you resist the pull of distraction and instead lean into focus, you are training your mind to obey your highest intentions rather than your fleeting impulses. Over weeks and months, this transforms you. The gap between who you are and who you want to be begins to close. The disciplined mind is a powerful mind, for it is not tossed about by the noise of the world. It is steady, intentional, and unstoppable. And when you possess such a mind, there is little that can stand between you and the realization of your desires. What we allow into our minds shapes everything about the way we live. The mind is never idle. It is constantly at work, processing, absorbing, and reflecting the material we feed it. Just as a body cannot thrive on poor nutrition, the mind cannot thrive on poor information. If a man consumes nothing but gossip, negativity, fear, and trivial distractions, then his thinking will mirror that diet. His actions will lack vision, his decisions will lack clarity, and his life will lack progress. On the other hand, if he deliberately feeds his mind with wisdom, knowledge, and uplifting thoughts, then his life becomes a reflection of strength, clarity, and purpose. Think of the mind as a powerful machine, one that never stops running. It does not decide for you what to accept or reject. That choice is left to you. Once something enters the mind, it becomes part of the material with which you think, plan, and act. This means that every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every image you look at, and every word you listen to has influence. Some people treat this casually, believing they can watch or listen to anything without consequence. But the truth is, the mind absorbs it all. Over time, what is repeated becomes belief, and what is believed becomes behavior. Guarding the input of your mind is not about shutting yourself away from the world, but about being selective, intentional, and wise with what you consume. If you want strength, read the words of strong thinkers. If you want vision, study those who dared to dream beyond limitation. If you want resilience, fill your mind with stories of those who overcame. Too many people neglect this principle and then wonder why they struggle with discouragement, fear, and confusion. They are simply harvesting what they have planted. A man cannot listen daily to voices of despair and expect hope to dominate his thinking. A woman cannot surround herself with constant doubt and expect confidence to rise naturally. The soil of the mind does not discriminate. It grows whatever is planted. That is why great thinkers throughout history have been deliberate about what they allowed into their consciousness. They understood that ideas are contagious, that attitudes are transferable, and that the company of thought is as powerful as the company of people. The wonderful thing is that we are not helpless in this. We can choose what we allow in. We can decide that instead of wasting hours on empty distractions, we will dedicate that time to learning, reflecting, and improving. We can decide to limit the voices of negativity and instead fill our ears with words that build us up. We can control the environment of our minds the same way a gardener controls his field, by removing weeds and nurturing the seeds of growth. This discipline pays dividends beyond measure. A person who guards their mind begins to notice opportunities that others miss. They carry themselves with calmness in the midst of chaos. They act with clarity when others are confused. Their mind becomes a tool sharpened by careful choice instead of dulled by careless exposure. The results compound over time. A few days of guarding your mind may not reveal much, but years of feeding it with excellence creates a person of extraordinary character and ability. In the end, life is nothing more than a mirror of the thoughts we allow to dominate our minds. If you want a life of strength, peace, and fulfillment, then you must first guard the gates of your mind. Be mindful of what enters, because whatever is repeated in thought will one day be expressed in action. Guard your input, and your mind will reward you with a life that reflects the very best of what you have chosen to plant within it. Persistence is the quality that turns vision into reality, the force that stands between a dream and its fulfillment. When you look at those who have accomplished remarkable things, you will find a common thread. They were not always the most talented, nor the most intelligent, nor the most fortunate, but they were persistent. They refused to quit when the road was long, when the night was dark, and when the results seemed far away. They pressed forward, often when others would have surrendered. That is the true test of the mind trained for achievement. Most people underestimate how long it takes for success to show itself. We live in a world that promises quick rewards, fast results, and instant gratification. But the truth is, lasting achievement is born of patience and steady effort. A seed does not become a tree overnight, and a mind does not produce greatness in a week. It takes time. It takes watering, nurturing, and above all, waiting with faith. Persistence is the willingness to continue watering that seed, even when the soil looks dry and the sprout has not yet appeared. It is the refusal to walk away from the garden of your own potential. When you train your mind to persist, you prepare yourself for the inevitable obstacles that life will present. Every worthwhile goal comes with challenges. There will be times when progress seems invisible, when fatigue sets in, when doubt whispers in your ear. In these moments, persistence is the shield and the weapon. It tells you to take another step, to try one more time, to go just a little further. Many lives fall short of greatness not because the dream was impossible, but because persistence ran out before the breakthrough arrived. Persistence does not mean reckless stubbornness. It does not mean pounding on the wrong door forever. It means adjusting, refining, learning, but never abandoning the ultimate goal. A river does not carve through rock in a day, but through continuous flow, patiently, steadily, until even the hardest stone yields. Likewise, a persistent mind may bend circumstances, reshape opportunities, and wear down resistance until the path is clear. The power of persistence lies not only in external results, but also in what it does to your character. Each time you choose to continue, you strengthen your own belief in yourself. You create evidence within that you are capable of enduring, of rising, of holding fast when others let go. This inner strength becomes a companion in every part of life. The persistent mind becomes resilient, immune to temporary setbacks, and fearless in the face of delay. There is also a law that favors persistence. Life seems to reward those who stay in the arena longest. The person who continues to knock eventually finds the door opening, often when they least expect it. The individual who refuses to give up builds momentum over time, and what once looked like a wall becomes a staircase. Opportunities are attracted to those who endure, because persistence creates consistency, and consistency attracts trust, respect, and success. So if you have a desire burning within you, let persistence be its protector. When the nights are long, let persistence whisper to you that dawn is coming. When others laugh, let persistence remind you that the vision is yours, not theirs. When failure knocks, let persistence open the door and greet it as a teacher, not an enemy. Train your mind to see obstacles not as endings, but as invitations to grow stronger. In the end, persistence is not simply about holding on. It is about moving forward, inch by inch, step by step, until what once seemed impossible is standing before you as fact. It is the quiet power that transforms intention into reality. And if you will persist long enough, you will find that nothing can deny a mind that refuses to stop. Imagination is one of the greatest gifts given to us as human beings, yet it is often the least understood and the least developed. Everything that has ever been created by mankind, from the wheel to the airplane, from the printing press to the internet, was first born in the mind of a single individual who dared to imagine what did not yet exist. The world you and I live in is nothing more than the physical reflection of ideas that once lived only in someone's imagination. That truth alone should remind us of the incredible power we carry within us. The mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you imagine a future outcome with conviction, your subconscious begins to adjust your behavior to make that vision a reality. You will find yourself noticing opportunities you once overlooked, meeting people who align with your path, and taking steps that bring you closer to what you desire. Imagination plants the seeds, and the mind, like a faithful servant, begins to prepare the soil for the harvest. Think of any great inventor or pioneer. Before the light bulb was created, it existed thousands of times in Thomas Edison's imagination. Before human beings traveled through the skies, the Wright brothers envisioned a flying machine that seemed impossible to everyone else. Before skyscrapers touched the clouds, an architect pictured them in his mind's eye. These people were no different from you in terms of having a brain, a body, and time on this earth. What separated them was their willingness to believe in the images within their imagination and to act upon them when others doubted. The tragedy is that many people misuse this gift. Instead of imagining abundance, they dwell on failure. Instead of creating visions of what they want, they picture all that could go wrong. This is why some people seem stuck in cycles of fear and limitation. Their imagination is working against them rather than for them. The mind will create either way, so it is your responsibility to direct it toward outcomes that serve you, not enslave you. Imagination requires two key elements: clarity and repetition. Clarity means knowing exactly what you want, painting it in your mind with details so rich that you can see it, hear it, and almost touch it. Repetition means revisiting that image daily, allowing it to become etched into your subconscious. When you do this, the vision becomes more than just a daydream. It transforms into a blueprint that guides your decisions and actions. Just as a builder cannot construct without a plan, you cannot achieve without a mental picture of the goal. Do not underestimate small exercises in imagination. Close your eyes for a few minutes each day and visualize the person you want to become, the life you want to live, the contribution you want to make. Imagine it vividly as though it were happening right now. Feel the emotion of it, because emotion fuels the imagination. Over time, you will find that you begin to step into that very life. The opportunities will appear, not by accident, but because your mind has been trained to recognize them. Imagination is not fantasy. It is the starting point of reality. The chair you sit on was once imagined. The clothes you wear were once imagined. The city you live in, the music you listen to, the tools you use. Each of these existed first as an image in someone's mind. So too will your future. If you dare to imagine boldly, to believe strongly, and to act consistently, there is no desire beyond your reach. What the mind can picture, it can ultimately bring forth into the world. Gratitude is often spoken of as a virtue, but in truth, it is far more than that. It is a state of mind, a powerful mental discipline that can transform not only how you feel, but what you attract into your life. When you practice gratitude, you begin to train your mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity, on opportunity rather than limitation, on what is possible rather than what is missing. And in doing so, you awaken a force that makes achievement not just attainable, but inevitable. It is easy to overlook the simple things. We wake up in the morning, breathe the air, see the sunlight, move our bodies, and rarely stop to think about how extraordinary these basic experiences really are. The person who has trained their mind to be grateful sees each of these as miracles, reminders that life itself is a gift. And when the mind is trained to recognize the gift of life, it begins to treat every moment, every opportunity, and every challenge with reverence. That reverence creates energy, and that energy fuels achievement. Gratitude is not passive. It is not simply saying thank you with empty words. It is a way of seeing. It is looking at challenges and saying, there is something for me to learn here. It is looking at failures and saying, this is not the end, this is the seed of a new beginning. It is looking at small victories and saying, if I can accomplish this, I can accomplish more. Gratitude does not ignore reality, it reshapes it. It takes what is and turns it into a foundation for growth. The opposite of gratitude is complaint, and complaint is poison to the mind. A complaining mind looks for what is wrong and inevitably finds it. And when you train your thoughts to always find fault, your actions will follow. The person who sees only lack will create more lack. But the person who disciplines their mind to see abundance will find more ways to create it. Life has a way of magnifying whatever we consistently dwell upon. If you dwell on what you lack, you will see lack everywhere. If you dwell on what you have, what is good, what is possible, you will see opportunities others overlook. Gratitude also brings clarity. A grateful mind does not waste time comparing itself endlessly with others. It does not measure its worth against what someone else owns or achieves. Instead, it acknowledges what it has, values it, and builds upon it. This eliminates envy, jealousy, and resentment, all destructive emotions that drain energy. When your mind is free from those weights, you can direct your energy entirely toward growth. There is a mysterious law at work here, and it has been spoken of by thinkers, philosophers, and teachers for centuries. What you focus on expands. Gratitude directs your focus to what is good, and because of that, good multiplies in your life. It draws people toward you, it creates trust, it builds resilience, it gives you strength in the darkest times. It reminds you that no matter how far you have to go, you already have something of value to work with today. Imagine two people facing the same difficulty. One curses the problem, blames the world, and sinks into despair. The other, though tested just as hard, says, "I am grateful for the chance to grow stronger. I am thankful that I have the ability to face this challenge." Which one is more likely to find a solution? Which one is more likely to keep moving until success is reached? Gratitude is not naive optimism, it is practical wisdom. It arms you with the mindset that makes progress possible when others give up. If you desire to achieve anything in life, begin with gratitude. Give thanks not only for what you already possess, but also for what you are working toward. Be grateful for the vision in your mind, for even if it has not yet taken shape, the very fact that you can see it means it already exists in potential. Gratitude acknowledges that potential and nurtures it until it becomes real. Train your mind to give thanks daily. Write it down, say it aloud, feel it deeply. Gratitude is like watering the seeds of your desires. It nourishes them, sustains them, and accelerates their growth. In time, you will see that everything you desired was not just achieved, but exceeded. For the person who walks in gratitude is already rich, already abundant, already successful. And from that state of mind, there is nothing they cannot achieve.